The shocking truth about pausing, wisdom revealed in 3 seconds at midnight. In the heart of the town, a whisper loomed like a thick fog. Just past midnight, on a night when the world held its breath, something extraordinary was about to unravel. They said the clock stopped, but it wasn't mechanical. No. It was far more sinister, more captivating. It was a pause, a moment so electric that reality might just shatter. Some say when it hit, the air crackled with anticipation. Every heartbeat synchronized in that suspension of time, every chill down the spine felt like an echo of the inexplicable. The stars flickered overhead as if in disbelief. People gathered, blurred silhouettes in the gloom, drawn to the eerie silence that swayed the street like a shroud. Faces turned, some confused, others illuminated by a flickering streetlight, eyes wide and mouths tense. What was it they felt? A shared fear. A curiosity that tickled the back of their minds? If only they could hold on just 5 more seconds, and then came the first strange occurrence. The old clock in the town square began to chime, each clang ringing hollow. Yet, the only sound lingering in the air was the collective gasp that followed. There wasn't a soul who could ignore the wild suggestion that something unnatural hovered just beyond the edge of comprehension. A seismic shift. The kind your gut doesn't ignore. Footsteps echoed against the pavement as nervous laughter broke the tension. But it felt wrong, didn't it? More like a desperate attempt to mask the unease. In that fleeting instant of midnight despair, the town stood united yet isolated, bound in a collective experience that promised to either fracture their resolve or bind them tighter than ever. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Just as whispers of confusion fluttered around the crowd, the world dimmed even further. 3 seconds passed, but who was counting? The moon hung heavy, watching over the enigma that was unfolding. Then, in a heartbeat, chaos erupted. A figure emerged from the shadows. Was it a ghost? A specter from the past? White-knuckled grips on phones illuminated faces drawn in terror. What did they see? The air thickened, every pulse racing with urgency. Some shrank back, others dared to inch forward. What did it mean to pause in that split second at midnight? And who knew the truth behind it? Breathless, the crowd awaited, as an unsolved riddle loomed heavy on the horizon. What lay ahead, and would they have the courage to uncover the wisdom hiding in plain sight? The figure stepped closer, its movements fluid, almost unnatural. The shadows danced around it, weaving through the crowd as whispers turned to panic murmurs. Faces shifted from curiosity to horror, eyes darted, searching for an escape that felt impossibly distant. Fear gripped the town as the figure stopped, surveying those around like a predator sizing up its prey. Then it spoke. The voice sliced through the fearful air, low and echoing. You stand at the edge of a choice. Each word felt like a punch to the gut. What if I told you that you've all been living half-lives? What if I told you that this pause is a chance to wake up? Gasps erupted across the crowd. Tension washed over them, thick enough to choke. Nobody knew what to think or whom to believe. Was this some kind of trick? A cruel game spun by the universe? The figure moved again, a glimmer of silver catching the weak light. A pendant swung, reflecting the street lamp's dim glow. It felt magical and malevolent. This is not just about time standing still, It continued, but about the moments we ignored. The choices we suppressed. Time is a gift, but you squander it. Unease rippled through the crowd. A mother clutched her child's hand tightly, blue eyes wide with dread. An old man, once strong and noble, now seemed smaller, his face a puddle of confusion and fear. They all felt it, the weight of unmade decisions pressing down like the midnight sky, heavy and suffocating. You feel it, don't you? The figure's gaze swept through the group, piercing. The truth lurking in the shadows of your lives? The regrets that haunt you? One by one, they started nodding, slowly as if awakening from a deep sleep. A voice broke through, shaky but brave. Who are you? A young woman stepped forward, her frame trembling, yet she stood firm. What do you want from us? There was a flicker in the figure's eyes, an understanding that seemed ancient. Wisdom can feel like a curse, and knowledge, a burden. But I can offer you a glimpse. A choice now. Face your truths or remain in the dark. A sickening chill filled the air, as an icy gust swept past them. The trees shuddered, and the streetlights flickered wildly. It was as if the universe held its breath alongside them. Tension thickened, time expanded again, each second feeling like an eternity. The moon cast ghostly shadows, illuminating faces that expressed disbelief, fear, but also an ember of hope. Somewhere within them was the yearning to break free from the shackles of knowing but not acting. I will give you 10 seconds, the figure said, raising a hand as a solitary clock ticking echoed somewhere in the distance, a countdown to choices yet unmade. And when the time ends, you may find your life forever altered. Dread clawed at their hearts, a stomach-sinking realization washing over them. Could they trust this revelation? Were they ready to dive into the depths of their own truths? The countdown began, each tick resonating like a drum calling them to battle. 10. What lay ahead? Could they confront what they had repressed? Would they wake up, or would they retreat into the familiar darkness? As the figure's eyes glinted with menace and promise, a palpable fear blossomed amidst the crowd. What would happen when the clock struck 0? Would they leap into the unknown, or was fear too strong, ready to clutch at them and pull them down into the abyss? 9-8. A profound mystery unveiled itself at that moment, sparking a question in their minds: was this the beginning of salvation or the precipice of their doom? 7. And with each passing second, the weight of the world pressed down a little harder, a truth too vast to grasp within their collective grasp. What choice would they make, and could they handle the consequences? 6. As the seconds slipped away, the stakes grew higher, pushing them closer to the brink of revelation or ruin. 5. The weight of dread swirled in the air as everyone held their breath, feeling the heaviness tighten around their chests. Each person stood frozen, their eyes darting from the figure to one another, unspoken fears weaving through their thoughts. No one wanted to be the first to act, yet no one could ignore the urgency pounding in their ears. 4. Terror masked curiosity. Would it be better to remain shackled by fear or break free and face the unknown? A young man's muscles tensed as he caught the old man's gaze, filled with regret. With every tick of the clock, clarity blossomed within him. What would he lose by facing the truth? Would he let life pass him by out of sheer cowardice? 3. The mother tightened her grip on her child's hand, torn between prudence and the promise of something greater. She considered the lessons she'd been passing on. Am I teaching him to fear? She whispered to herself. A glimpse of courage flickered within her heart, a spark igniting against the cold clutches of doubt. 2. The figure's presence loomed larger, almost suffocating. It exuded an air of untold power, one that felt like it could unearth buried secrets and expose hidden scars. The choice is deeper than time, it intoned, and the crowd collectively leaned in, desperate for clarity. Your lives, your happiness, they lay in facing shadows or continuing to hide. 1. As the countdown approached its end, the ticking drum violently in their veins. The figure's intense gaze, a flicker of ancient wisdom, urged them further. Dare you take a leap into truth? Zero. A collective gasp swept through the air, echoing like shattered glass. The moment stretched as seconds turned into minutes. Each person felt their heart pound in sync with the chime of reality stepping into focus. Just as the silence shattered with a noise even more deafening than their fears, a blinding light burst forth from the figure's pendant. All at once, memories came flooding into every person's mind, moments they'd buried too deep to face. Regrets, dreams unexpressed, love never shared, choices never made. The essence of their lives flickered like strobe lights. The feeling of desperation melted away, replaced with a renewed sense of urgency. The crowd staggered back, eyes wide, hearts racing. What is happening? A man shouted, confusion mingling with fear. Revelation. The figure declared. Your truths are ready to surface. Will you choose to confront them, or will you let fear seal your fate? Each of you must answer or be lost in the shadows forever. Power surged through the atmosphere, electrifying their souls. They teetered on the brink of a choice that could liberate or devour them. A swirl of thoughts erupted as voices tangled together in panic, confusion, and raw emotion. I can't. What if? I want to live. The figure smiled enigmatically, as if delighting in the chaos. Life is not an easy choice but a tapestry woven with bold decisions. But remember, the fear of what is unseen is often worse than the truth. The woman who stepped forward earlier found her voice drawn to the forefront again. We can't keep hiding. We can't let fear win. A ripple of agreement pulsed through the crowd, fueling a new fire. They were tired of being trapped in their own silence. Then step forward. The figure commanded, and a surge of hands reached out into space. Courage mixed with fear, a cocktail of the unknown waiting to be consumed. As doubts lingered, time quivered on the edge of impact. Would they seize this moment of profound potential, or would they slip back into their half-lives, forever haunted by the choice they felt they could never make? With a new pulse of tension, the crowd held their breath once more. The climax loomed, ready to reveal its terrifying truth or a chance at freedom. What would happen next? Would they confront their deepest fears and step into the light, or would they surrender to the darkness that had held them captive for so long? A heartbeat skipped as the figure's voice echoed through the crowd, vibrating with an energy that was impossible to ignore. Each eye darted toward the radiant pendant, its luminous glow growing stronger, filling the space with an almost tangible warmth. It beckoned them, daring them to push through their boundaries. What now? A woman in the back whispered, her voice barely making it through the haze of uncertainty. Her shoulders heaved as anxiety gripped her. The questions bled into silence, but the air crackled with anticipation. I'm ready, the young man declared, stepping forward. His voice cut through the paralyzing fog. And in that moment, he became the embodiment of their collective desire. Yet as he took a step, a gasp rippled through the crowd. Wait, shouted the mother, gripping her son tighter. You don't know what you might unlock. Desperation laced her words, her heart racing as those gathered began to sway like wheat in a storm. Fear is a wall, but every wall can be broken, the figure responded, its voice steady and magnetic. What will your truths reveal? With a deep breath, the young man recited his regrets. I regret not telling her I love her. I regret every moment I stayed silent when I should have spoken. His cheeks flushed, but a shadow of strength appeared in his eyes. The air hummed around him, inviting others to join. I've always wanted to be a writer, but I let fear dictate my choices. A voice called out from the back. The dense atmosphere thickened as everyone turned, hope sparking, igniting a chain reaction of confessions. One by one, voices began to rise. I want to forgive my father. I wish I had shown kindness instead of anger. I dream of traveling the world, but I've never taken the leap. The sound grew louder, a powerful cacophony of longing and realization, weaving a tapestry of vulnerability and strength. The crowd buzzed with newfound courage, and the figure grinned. Its eyes sparkled like stars, reflecting their inner turmoil. Truth has power, my friends, it called out, raising its arms wide. In the depths of your fears lies your strength. Choose your truth, and it shall set you free or consume you just the same. The crowd seemed to pulsate, drawn to the glowing artifact that revealed their fears. Some shuddered at the thought of what they might uncover. "This is madness," shouted a man on the edge of the throng, panic seeping into his voice. What if the truths are too dangerous? But his dissent was drowned by the collective will swirling around them, a tidal wave of determination igniting their spirits. They were tired of secrets and shadows, tired of being held captive by invisible chains. "Step forward," someone yelled, and like dominoes, more stepped into the light. Courage surged through the crowd like an electric current, a promise whispered again and again, "I will not live in fear any longer." But the figure's smile wavered, twisting into something more sinister. "Careful." Each truth revealed acts as a key to open deeper doors. A sense of dread returned, slithering in like a thick fog. What lay behind those doors? Secrets. Painful truths. Terrifying revelations awaited, threatening to unearth what they had buried. Suddenly, the pendant flickered, and everything shifted within the crowd. The air thickened, and whispers of fear intertwined with their newfound courage as the figure tilted its head, allowing shadows to dance across its face. "Are you truly ready to confront the darkness?" It warned, the words resonating with an echo so haunting it sent chills through the crowd. "Or will you turn back?" Amidst the rush of emotions, a single question loomed overhead: was this the moment of salvation, or the beginning of their undoing? And as they stood on the brink of revelation, the ground beneath them seemed to shudder, as if sensing the weight of their choices. What awaited them was beyond their imaginations, and the time to decide was slipping away. Would they dare take that final step into the unknown? The ground rumbled beneath their feet as if it too felt the weight of their words. A low hum began to rise from the pendant, echoing through the crowd like a heartbeat, its rhythm intertwined with their fears and hopes. An insidious whisper curled around them, urging them forward. "Don't you feel it?" The figure's voice slithered through the tension, commanding attention. "Change is in the air, waiting to be unleashed. Who will step into the light next?" In an instant, a woman with wild curls pushed through the throng, her eyes bright with determination. "I'm done hiding," she shouted, her voice ringing clear. "I never wanted to be the one who plays it safe. I wanted to be a dancer. I let everyone else dictate my life, and I'm finished." The pendant pulsed in response, and the crowd reacted as though struck by lightning, their gasps echoing off the walls surrounding them. "Is this a game?" Someone hesitated, glancing around as faces contorted with fear and enthusiasm alike. "What if we unlock something that should stay buried?" Fear cloaked the woman's boldness, and she hesitated, her resolve wavering. The figure leaned closer, its eyes glowing with an eerie, almost predatory light. "You misunderstand. This is not a game, this is a reckoning." The crowd swayed again, uncertain yet drawn toward the unfolding drama. Shadows flickered along the edges of their collective courage, whispering of consequences. The tension sliced through the air, razor-sharp, vibrating with unsaid fears. "I can't take this anymore," shouted a voice from the very back, an older man with trembling hands. "I regret not saving my brother," I said idly while life stole him away from me. "I've carried this guilt for too long." Murmurs filled the crowd as emotions crackled and sparked, igniting a fire that spread swiftly, consuming doubt. I want to meet my son again, another person added, their voice cracking under the weight of despair. I lost him years ago to a decision I couldn't have foreseen. I was too afraid to confront the truth of that day. The figure before them, its silhouette shimmering with power, seemed to revel in the chaos. Look around. You're all tethered to your past, and every truth you unveil chips away those chains. Do you not see? You are stronger than your fear. Yet within the heat of the moment, an undercurrent of dread loomed. The shadows deepened, seeping into the edges of their resolve, making the air taut and unbreathable. What if our truths are what we fear most? A man hissed, glancing around, eyes wide with doubt. What if they don't set us free? The figure's laugh was low and rich, pulling warmth in the cavernous space. That is the gamble of your courage. The only barrier left is your choice. Will you unearth the answers, or shall they remain shackled in the darkness? From somewhere deep within the crowd, a girl's voice rose to pierce the heavy atmosphere, raw and trembling. I'm scared. But I want to be brave. I want to finally be seen. In her admission, a silence swept across the throng like a sweeping tide, compelling them to contemplate. Each faced their own shadows, their own haunting moments of regret, hope, and fear. Would they make the leap together, as a united force against suffering, or would one voice of trepidation halt the rush of their shared liberation? Time slipped between their fingers, palpable and fleeting. As the pendant pulsed ominously, vibrating between light and shadow, a chilling realization gripped them all. What if some truths should never have been spoken at all? And then, without warning, a dreadful crack echoed through the thrumming crowd, shaking them to their course. What lay ahead remained veiled in absolute mystery. Would deeper secrets unfurl, embracing them with truth or suffocating them in despair? The choice hung heavily in the air, poised to tip the balance toward salvation or doom. A silence thickened in the air, as if the world had paused, just for a moment, holding its breath. The crack that reverberated through the crowd had not just shattered the noise, it splintered their fragile resolve. I started, searching for the source of unease, merging panic with confusion. What was that? Someone whispered, voice trembling. A chill crept down spines, chilling sweat-dampened backs. The pendant pulsed again, slightly dimmer this time, sending out ripples of unease. But the figure remained calm, its presence somehow amplifying the charged atmosphere. The truth you fear is not in the past alone, it is also in the actions that follow. A pause hung in the air, thick as fog, allowing the weight of those words to settle, pulling deep into their guts. The woman with wild curls took a shaky step forward. But what if we fail? What if everything we unearth only leads to more darkness? Her heart raced, a storm of hope and dread swirling within. The figure's eyes flickered, a hint of something almost maternal weaving through its authoritative tone. Failure is merely a reflection of your bravery. You have witnessed the suffering of honesty, but you have yet to experience the liberation it brings. Who among you dares to speak the truths that bind them? One by one, gazes shifted downward, feet shuffling. It was as if the weight of their secrets anchored them to the ground. Then, as if summoned by a hidden force, a voice pierced through the tension. I will. I have kept his name buried for too long. My father eyed a man as fervor ignited boldness in others. Another chimed in, I will, too. I regret never telling my sister that I loved her before she left. Hands clenched into fists, fists waved in solidarity. Yes. Let us lay bare our darkness. The crowd surged forward, words cascading like water from a broken dam. A chant began, unifying disparate souls in shared darkness. We will not be silenced. Yet, as this encouragement blossomed, the air grew thick with an unexpected cold. Shadows stretched like fingers of dread across the ground, urging them to stop, warning them with whispers of despair hidden within. "Leave it be, it is too late." The figure broke the rising tide of voices with a wave of its hand, silencing the chaos abruptly. "Beware the voices that spake from the darkness. These are the truths that would sweep you away. You stand at the edge, a choice looms." A handful of onlookers fell silent again, doubt creeping back into their hearts. Was it a warning or a challenge? The figure's presence seemed to twist the air, the shadows flickering in and out like fading echoes of long-forgotten truths. Suddenly, the pendant pulsed violently, casting shifting lights that danced between their faces, illuminating their doubt, but also their resolve. "What if we can change?" A frail voice emerged from the crowd, shaking like leaves in the wind. It was the girl who had first spoken of fear. "What if we can break free together?" The energy crackled, igniting a fire of courage in the hearts that struck fragile chords, simmering pent-up emotions. But was the risk too great? Would their truths merely invite chaos rather than the hope they yearned for? As they wrestled with the looming doubts, another deep rumble tremored through the ground beneath them, screaming a warning. The pendant's light dimmed abruptly, plunging them into momentary darkness. A murmur spread like wildfire, glimpses of fear and anticipation dancing eerily in every eye. One final question eclipsed their thoughts, a haunting whisper that echoed in the darkened void. In the pursuit of freedom, how many secrets could they bear to uncover? Amid the suffocating shadows, the figure stood watchful, poised and expectant, as the crowd faced a decision teetering between revelation and disaster. The ground quaked violently, rattling the very essence of their fears. Panic flickered through the crowd, igniting a spark of chaos. The shadows seemed to thicken, swirling around them, whispering ancient secrets meant to bind them in silence. "Make it stop!" Someone screamed, backing away as if the shadows were alive, clawing at their ankles. The figure stood immobile, a stark contrast to the growing frenzy. Its calmness only intensified the crowd's turmoil. Then, as if answering a silent plea, the pendant erupted in a blinding light, the glow forcing the darkness to retreat momentarily. "Look beyond." It echoed, the sound resonating from within, penetrating their very souls. "You cannot reverse what has been hidden, but you can confront it." A surge of energy sparked through the crowd, compelling some to take tentative steps forward. Others, though, recoiled, caught in a vortex of fear and doubt. The woman with wild curls, emboldened by the light, cried out, "If we don't speak, we're already dead inside." But what lies beyond this truth? What darkness waits on the other side? A voice called out from the back. It was a familiar voice, heavy with sorrow from the past. The crowd turned, revealing Alex, a figure burdened by time and regret, eyes burning with intensity. "I can't bear to lose anything else. What if we unleash something worse?" His breath hitched, and the pendant flickered again, casting a ghostly glow across his face, twisting his features with sorrow. "He is right," a woman shouted, stepping forward. "Do we really know what we're venturing into? There are secrets buried deeper than we could imagine." Each word stabbed at the tension, adding more weight to the air. A ripple of uncertainty washed over them as murmurs echoed, fueling the doubt among the group. Each person remembered scars, losses, and things better left unspoken, yet, beneath that doubt, a familiar chorus rose again: "We will not be silenced." It pulsed through the crowd, unifying even the most hesitant souls, igniting unquenchable flames of resolve. The figure lifted a hand, the pendant's glow bathing them in warm light. "Courage transcends the darkness. Can you not see how your strength in vulnerability will fortify the bonds between you?" Alex's resolve faltered for a brief moment, his eyes scanning the faces of those painted in fear and determination. "But what if they suffer because of my truth, because of my choices?" The woman with wild curls pressed her palms together, a glimmer of hope brightening her gaze. What if the suffering we faced binds us to one another? We're not alone in this. Is it worth the risk to find out? As the crowd pondered her words, the sound of whispers intensified, creating a cacophony of uncertainty that seemed to spiral. This feels like a trap. Just then, the pendant pulsed more fiercely, illuminating the figure who suddenly took a step forward, breaking through the haze. Bear witness. The time has come to confront the darkness that resides in each of you. Choose now. With the finality of that declaration, the ground vibrated once more, but this time, the tremor felt like a call to action rather than a warning. One by one, the crowd began to take hesitant steps towards the figure, each step a choice forged in the fire of their hearts. However, amidst the ascendancy of bravery, a bone-chilling scream erupted from the shadows, tearing through the courage they were building. The voice echoed like a death knell, full of anguish and regret. "No! You won't take this from me. I was their keeper." As if responding to the turmoil, the pendant flickered ominously. A deeper darkness loomed, threatening to consume those who dared to confront their truths. Was it too late to back away? Or would they uncover horror they never thought possible? In that moment of decision, the stakes rose higher than ever before. What truth lay buried so deeply that it could invoke such fury? As whispers filled the air, a new question hung over them. Would they find the liberation they sought, or only a path to more despair? The crowd trembled, caught in the grip of dread as the shadows pulsed like a heartbeat, each echoing scream threatening to snuff out their flicker of courage. A sinister wind whipped around them, carrying with it the weight of forgotten nightmares. "Stay together," the woman with wild curls urged, her voice barely rising above the cacophony. "We can't afford to lose anyone." But then, the figure stepped closer, the pendant as light bathing the entire scene in a surreal glow. "Listen," it commanded, voice steady but urgent. "The shadows can only take form from what is hidden. The truth is your sword. Grasp it." With every word, the crowd felt something shift within them, a palpable tension, a push they couldn't shake. Alex took a deep breath, his heart pounding against his ribs. The weight of his reality crashed down like a tidal wave. What if the truth I've kept locked away is worse than anything I've encountered? What if it brings this darkness upon us? "Then we face it together," another voice chimed in, a man whose eyes burned with the same resolve they all craved. "We have shared enough pain. It's time to unearth what is buried beneath." Suddenly, the pendant flared, illuminating a corner of the crowd where a figure trembled, hidden by the shadows. "You shouldn't be here." The voice dripped with urgency, filled with a desperation that echoed their own fears. "What you're about to confront isn't just personal. It's a storm that will rip you apart." "Who are you?" someone shouted back, stepping forward, face etched with determination. "How do you know what we'll unleash?" "I was its guardian. I know well the ruinous path you're considering," the voice wailed, cracking the air with its sorrow. "You're not prepared for the truth. None of you are." A heavy silence fell over the group, freezing them in place. The doubt slithered in again, pushing back their bravery. Alex's fear was reignited, constricting his throat. "What should we do?" he whispered, looking toward the figure with the pendant, who stood resolute amidst the chaos. "Persevere," it commanded. "Remember that our fears tie us to one another. You have the power to dispel this darkness." The shadows twisted and coiled tighter around them, almost as if anticipating their next move. Whispers floated through the air, insistent and compelling, filling the hearts with a mixture of fear and a flicker of reckless hope. The pressure pressed down, thick and suffocating, urging action. "Together. We have to go deeper." The woman with wild curls shouted again, her words igniting something within the crowd, and they began to march forward, press against the luminous barrier the pendant created. But just as they made a collective step toward the truth, a thunderous roar echoed, rattling their bones. The shadows surged forward, black tendrils swiping through their ranks, ripping ankles, and pulling at shirts. "No!" Alex shouted, fighting against an unseen grip that threatened to pull him down. The cold seeped into his skin as memories of loss and regret flared brighter than the pendant's glow. "Do not let it pull you apart," the figure cried, its voice struggling to rise above the din, but the shadows only grew stronger, amplified by chaos. Just when Alex thought they might buckle under the weight of their fears, a heartbeat of courage flared in his chest. But before he could act, the anguished scream returned, piercing through the chaos. "You will regret this." His heart raced as he realized the stakes. They were teetering on the edge of a precipice, ready to plunge into the unknown. The truth they sought could elevate them or annihilate them. Would they break free from the chains of despair? "Whatever is unleashed, we face it together," he roared, pushing forward, each step a challenge to the shadows encircling them. But as the energy surged, he couldn't shake the feeling. Was there truly strength in unity, or would their vulnerability shatter them entirely? The air thickened with tension, the choice looming larger by the second. What awaited them in the depths of that truth? Would they be consumed by the shadows, or be reborn in the light? The darkness pressed in tighter, a suffocating blanket. Alex could almost feel the shadows slithering against his skin, feeding from his doubt. He glanced around, faces twisted in fear, hands grasping each other in frantic unity, but their resolve was quickly waning. The pendulum of hope and despair swung dangerously close to despair. "Push through," urged the woman with wild curls again, her voice rising above the howls of the shadows. Still, the bitter chill wrapped itself around his limbs, and for a moment, he almost forgot why they were fighting. Just then, a flash of light erupted from the pendant, cascading through the crowd. It illuminated a series of faces he knew well, fearful, determined. They were bound by a common pain, wounds that ran deep, hidden beneath layers of facade. The shadows, he realized, took form from unspoken secrets. Every truth once buried was a weapon against the darkness. "Remember why you stand here," the figure with the pendant shouted, urgency laced in every syllable. "Your shadows are alive because you feed them. Reclaim your light." Alex felt the warmth of anger ignite within him. Images flooded his mind, a father's cruel laughter, secrets he had never dared to voice, grief that clung like a second skin. The only way out was to confront those demons head-on. "Together," he shouted, a fierce spark igniting in his chest. "Every one of us. Expose the truth." The crowd responded, a collective shudder of recognition rippling through them. They began to chant, voices rising together in a symphony of defiance. "Together. Together. Together." The shadows faltered, riding like battered snakes in response to their power, but then, the figure's face flickered in the pendant's glow, a deep sadness etched across its features. "This will not be easy. What you reveal may shatter your bond. Are you prepared to lose yourself?" The question hung heavy in the air, a thick fog swirling with doubts. Murmurs of uncertainty ran through the crowd. Could they truly handle the weight of the truth? Could they face what they had hidden for so long? "Everything has its price," a voice cried, tremulous and filled with history. A man stepping forward, regret etched in his features. "I buried mine to protect my family. But this darkness, it hurts them too." A powerful shiver rolled through Alex. The shadows seemed to sense the hesitation, twisting around their legs, squeezing tightly, encouraging their surrender. The pang of loss mixed with indignation surged again. Was this the end? Was he just going to let despair win? Remember your courage. He shouted, gripping the arms of those nearest to him. You are stronger than this darkness. Let your truth spill like water. They surged forward together, a tide of emotion, unearthing fragments of pain, long-held wounds bursting forth like old scars. The confessions poured into the night, secrets and regrets, pain and guilt danced together in an unholy union, and they felt lighter even as the weight of truths fell across them, but with every revelation came a tremor in the shadows. As if wounded, they recoiled. Alex saw glimpses of fear flicker through darkness, and then, an unbearable cry erupted from the depths. You dare disrupt the balance? A voice roared, echoing with power only shadows could possess. You will pay dearly for your defiance. The ground quaked beneath them, a warning that made the very air thicken and pulse. Alex's heart raced. Their unity had unveiled something much larger, something furious and vengeful. With each pulse, the shadows grew desperate, wrapping around them like chains, suffocating and fearless. Would their confessions seal their fates as much as liberate them? Push harder. The woman cried, her eyes bright against the growing darkness. Feel the strength in each other. We must fight. But just as Alex opened his mouth to roar encouragement, a voice seeped into his mind, dripping with malice. What if I told you one among you carries the deepest secret? The crowd froze, hearts pounding, realization setting in. Who among them was the betrayer? Who had fed the shadows with? Their silence, the question hung like a razor, sharper than any sword. Disunity could tear them apart. Could they face the truth together, or would they be splintered into darkness? The crowd stood frozen, fear gripping every heart. Shadows whispered treachery, wrapping tighter around their resolve. Who? Someone gasped, their gaze cutting through the crowd like a knife. Is it you? Suspicion bloomed, faces contorted in doubt. Alex could feel the weight of the question suffocating the momentum they built. The pendulum of unity suddenly swung toward chaos. Everyone was on edge, anticipation turning to dread. Slowly, he raised his voice, trying to quell the rising tension. We need to remember what brought us here. We came seeking the truth, together. But the shadows tightened, feeding off the fear. What lies have you told? What truths have you left unspoken? They echoed, their voices meshing into an unsettling chorus. A thin edge of panic threaded through the group. A young woman, trembling but resolute, stepped forward. It doesn't matter who it is. This darkness thrives on us turning against each other. Her voice was a lifeline, cutting through the shadows. We can't abandon each other now. Yet, doubt lingered, gripping them like a vice. But what if one of us is a traitor? A voice from the back shrieked. I started to that person, panic intensifying as accusations flew silently between gazes. Just then, the figure with the pendant straightened, a calmness radiating from it. Do not mistake vulnerability for weakness. The truth is often where shadows gather the most. Do you dare confront the fear within? Alex seized that moment. We are not just facing shadows, we are standing at the brink of our fears. Look around you. These faces, these lives we've all suffered. We can't let a whisper of doubt divide us now. Their breaths coalesced, and one by one, faces softened, considering the rallying call. Then, more voices began to emerge, carrying a chain reaction. I'm afraid of my truth, a man exclaimed, stepping forward. I've hidden behind a mask of indifference. As confessions spilled forth, Alex felt the atmosphere shift. Secrets unfurled like blooming flowers, swirling around them. Each truth made the shadows quiver, the air electric with raw courage. My truth is shame, another spoke. But I want freedom. In that pulsating moment, the shadows shriek, twisting violently as if in excruciating pain. No! North must stay lost, a voice howled, reverberating through the space, thickening the air. But the gathered throng stood firm, hearts beating in a furnace of collective determination. Enough! Alex yelled, channeling every ounce of his heart. We faced our fears and uncovered our truths. Together, we dismantle the lies that bind us. The figure nodded gravely, the pendant-esque glow brighter than the sun itself. Only through honesty can liberation be found. Face the source of your shadows. Uncertainty hung for a moment, then someone stepped into the light. A woman, tears streaming down her cheeks, voiced the heart of the matter. I've hidden my pain. I regret not acting against my fears. With that confession, a ripple of energy surged, a warmth that melted the suffocating chill. The shadows writhed like wounded animals, battling against their release. The truth flowed like a river, each revelation blooming into a song of hope, overwhelming the cries of despair. I lost my son, but I love him fiercely. I pass up every chance to change. Together, the confessions began linking like a tapestry woven from pain, becoming a force invincible, beautiful, transformative. Your lives are intertwined. The figure exclaimed, its voice basking in urgency. Channel this energy. Face the core of your fear together. The shadows screamed louder, wild with desperation, twisting in defiance. They threatened to swallow the brave souls who stood unyielding. But Alex held fast, heart pounding. This is our moment. Our choice. Our freedom. Stepping forward, he lifted his voice, rallying the crowd anew. Let us burn through this darkness. We have the strength to overcome. For every pulse of fear, the pendulum swung back, feeding the flames of defiance. Together. Together. They chanted, a choir pushing back the tide of shadows and calling. On the light, the figures smiled, reflective of their choices, a mix of shadow and brilliance. This is the reckoning. Each truth holds the key to your freedom. Embrace your vulnerability. The pendant erupted with brilliant light, enveloping the crowd as recognition flooded in waves. Memories surged, visions of lost loves, nested within the deeper understanding of their joys and regrets. I loved. I tried. An avalanche of emotions cascaded forth, mingling pain with jubilation. Light seared through the darkness, igniting with every truth shouted into the night, unraveling the shadows with each confession. The ground trembled under their feet, not from fear but from liberation, the shared pearls of humanity unbinding chains. I forgive you, reverberated through the crowd. I choose love. Came forth. As the darkness began to dissipate, a chorus of laughter mixed with tears reverberated, the sound of healing, unity, love reborn. The shadows writhed, thinning, wailing in a cacophony of anguish, and then silence. The crowd stood breathing, hearts alive. Before them lay the remnants of fear, now scattered like autumn leaves. It was over. The darkness had been faced, and they emerged together, freed from its grip. The figure looked upon them with pride, the glow of the pendant now a gentle halo, symbolizing their transformation. You have chosen courage, connection, and truth. Hold on to them. As the crowd turned, finally unshackled from their fears, a weight lifted. They were alive, not merely existing but thriving. Each member offered silent promises to one another, a shared bond forged in the fires of revelation. You are free, the figure whispered as it dissipated into the light, leaving behind warmth and hope. A sense of closure enveloped them. They had faced the depths of pain and emerged anew, kindred spirits lighting one another as paths. Nods of acknowledgement passed through smiles and tears, unspoken vows binding them to lives filled with courage, the night returned to its restful song, stars twinkling above, a proud witness to their journey. United in truth, they began walking, side by side, into the dawn of new beginnings, leaving their fears behind. And in that soft light of release, they held onto their fears not as chains, but as reminders of the strength they shared, ready for whatever lay ahead. Now, if you love this story, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help spread the word about the courage within us all. Flood that comments section with your reactions and theories about how these truths changed them. What did you think of their journey? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion and face their own shadows. Your support matters more than ever.